Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna discuss quite a few things. I'm gonna make different videos about it because evil never sleeps apparently, so we can't either. So first of all, we're going to start with the West making more stupid moves. They are really desperate to create more wars and they are doing it very openly, but you know, always pointing at someone else. So, first of all, we have a problem in Syria. So in Syria, they say, here we are with CNN, very trusted news source, Syrian rebels take control of most Aleppo city. Now, if you are familiar with the Syrian matter, these are not rebels or freedom fighters or whatever. They are terrorists, whatever you want to call them, but that's what they are. And they are funded by some people that occupy a third of Syria very much illegally. They're not invited there, and that is US army, and they've been there for quite a few years now, just stealing Syrian oil. Weirdly enough, that's the part they occupied, and they like when there is this type of conflict going on in Syria because they can take advantage of it. So they support this terrorist group they used to fight, and you know, Syrian government, legitimate government with al-Assad in power, actually democratically elect president, because he's too busy fighting these terrorists to ever have a chance to deal with the Americans. They'll get their turn, but for now, these guys are pushing. The terrorists are pushing. So they did take this city. We see here Syrian opposition forces. And here they are rebels, and I'm calling them terrorists. Because if you can clearly see who's supporting who. If Americans say they are rebels or opposition forces or democratic forces, you know they're supporting them, but in reality, you see what they are. They are fighting legitimate government with weapons supplied by the same people that are calling them these nice names. Have taken control of much of the country's second largest city after lightning advance that killed dozens of government soldiers in a major challenge to President Bashar al-Assad. I mean, is this not a terrorist attack? They're not saying how many civilians they killed, because you see the explosions. This is not just killing troops. There are a bunch of civilians here. This is a city. They're not saying that. It's all fine. They kill some soldiers. It's all good. So, Russia, that is legally invited by the Syrian government, by al-Assad, to fight these terrorists, responded. Russian jets, plural, strike Syria after rebels seize Aleppo in shock offensive. Yeah. So President Assad vows the regime will defeat terrorists and their supporters as he addresses the offensive for the first time. Here we are. He's calling them terrorists too. And their supporters. The ones that occupy a third of Syria illegally. So they're gonna kick them all out. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with how Russia is... I remember when they kept saying that Russia is gonna run out of ammo. They're gonna run out of missiles, they're gonna run out of drones at the start of the Ukrainian war because they're weak, they're pathetic, they have no reserves, it's just horrible. But somehow they managed to fight not only in Ukraine, but kick France and US out of most of Africa, where they were once again, illegally occupying them. And now they are fighting in Syria as well. So Russia is not that weak and pathetic and doesn't have ammo and missiles. Yeah, they have a lot of stuff. And you can clearly see it here. So Syrian and Russian jets working together because they're invited there by the Syrian government and working together. They're allowed to be there. Syrian and Russian jets have launched airstrikes on Syrian rebels, terrorists, who are advancing through the country after seizing the second largest city. The rebels led by Jihad group. You know who they are, right? Does that Jihad sound familiar? You know, ISIS and all those bad people that are now good because they're fighting against somebody Russia is supporting. Yeah, you remember him. Took over most of Aleppo in a shock offensive on Saturday. They claim to have also entered the city of Hama. Airstrikes that hit the entrance of Aleppo University Hospital killed 12 civilians. Oh, now we're talking about civilians, right? Now we're talking about them, but when terrorists attacked, they killed just government soldiers. No civilians were harmed by taking the entire city, but these guys hit one spot. There we go, civilian casualties. Why don't you say how many soldiers died there? How many terrorists were killed? And 23 others are injured, said the Syrian Civil Defense, also known as White Helmets. Well, this is what they say here, but the other side, being Russians, did report that they killed over 400 in that one airstrike. 400 of these terrorists that were there. But no, we just have here killing some 12 civilians and injuring 23. Why did they get their jets up just to kill 12 civilians? Doesn't make any sense now, does it? And this is Sky News, which is also, well, we know who. I mean, we can see here UK, US, and money. I mean, we know who's reporting this nonsense, and it's UK. They're the island of propaganda that works for the US, obviously. So Russia is there legally, US is there illegally, and they're not talking about US being there. They're pretending like they're not there. They're pretending like these so-called rebels are not supplied by the Americans with American weapons and ammunition. They're pretending it's all fine, but just remember this. Al-Assad wants them all gone. He wants his country back. He wants peace. He doesn't want war. And he brought Russians to help him clean up that mess. Eventually, US troops that are in Syria are also gonna get hit. They've been fighting around throughout years, but I want to show you something because people are forgetting, and I like to remind them because it feels like people have amnesia. Like this awesome news from July 5th, 2023. Russian jets harass US drones over Syria. No, this is hilarious. Harass. You're being harassed. You're a victim. Now, if you have two brain cells, you're gonna ask yourself, well, I gotta ask a few questions. First one would be, what are Russians doing in Syria? And the answer is, they're invited there by Al-Assad, by the legitimate, democratically elected government. So they have to fight anyone who opposes them, the terrorist groups, Then you ask yourself, well, why is US there? Well, they're not invited there, so they are occupying third of Syria and stealing their oil. So they're illegally there. And now we ask, what are Russian jets doing in Syria? Well, they're invited there. They have every right to be there. So what are US drones doing over Syria? Once again, they're illegally there. So Russia doesn't harass US drones. Russia is doing their job of protecting Syrian airspace because US is once again there illegally. But technically not at war with them. So what do you think is gonna happen here? They're gonna get hit because Russia doesn't care anymore. They're done with this nonsense, with this Western nonsense, and they're gonna hit them hard. Just don't worry about it. It's gonna happen. So that's what's happening in Syria. They're opening another front for Russia, and Russia will fight. Not because they, as the West likes saying, they control Syria and they're afraid of losing control over Syria. They have no interest in controlling Syria. They're legally invited. Just like you are legally sending weapons to Ukraine to fight Russians, but you're not at war with Russians, apparently. But these are actual Russian forces that are invited there. So you tell me who's wrong. The one that's doing things legally or the one that's doing things illegally and brainwashing you by saying that these are opposition forces. There we go. So yeah, keep a lookout on this because this is somehow in one way or another gonna spread to Israel. I guarantee it. These Russian drones, jets are just sometime in the future gonna, go around and somehow end up over Israel, drop a few bombs, and they're gonna act like Americans did in World War II when they bombed a Switzerland that was neutral, and when Swiss government went like, what the hell? They went like, oh, we thought we were over Germany. We thought we were bombing a German city. They missed the entire country. So if you believed in that, you're gonna believe in this. But it's gonna be nonsense. Doesn't matter. Make sure you let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. And make sure you subscribe. And I'll keep letting you know what you're cooking while you're not looking. And I'll see you on the next one.